Call the meeting to order. If everyone would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move the agenda.
Second. First and a second for the agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Committee reports. Commissioner People.
Oh my goodness.
I was gonna warn you we'd be.
Yeah, that's okay, we're all set. I think, see, January 20th, we had our MICA meeting, our annual.
Yep.
Yep. And that, we had Myron Franz, the State Revenue Commissioner, gave a little talk, and then we got an update, of course, on legislative stuff, which, who knows what'll actually happen with this year being a short session. And then, I had my Partners for Affordable Housing on the 28th, our meeting, or gearing up for partners for our fundraiser, the Pedal Past Poverty, on the 27th of February. And I want to commend Commissioner Vance for being part of that. And then we did have a little RCF thank you party, get together on that was on the 29th. That really concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
As much.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Schoenberg?
Mine is pretty short.
I would imagine.
All right. On the day after our board meeting, I went to Business Before Hours. It was over at Pawn America. And actually the owner of the business, Brad Rixman, was there. So it was kind of nice, you know, seeing him on the commercials and whatever, but nice place. I was actually, the first time I've been at Pawn America, and I was pretty impressed. I've seen a lot of rather shady pawn shops, and this one's clean. It's actually fun to walk around and shop, so I would recommend people to go there and look for items that they're looking for. On the 21st, I did my first TDS board meeting. It was a 4-hour board meeting.
What?
So that gave me an insight to TDS, and thank you, Will.
Will, he just handed it off just in time because he knew that was coming.
Those are the meetings you always have.
Otherwise, my wife and I went on vacation for a week, and we're now back. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Vance. Commissioner Campbell.
Sure. Well, of course, our last meeting was Tuesday, January 19th. Had our last board meeting. On the 26th, Tuesday, I had the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting with Region 9. And I don't know if you know, but that they're contracted by MnDOT. And they're just one piece of a puzzle, basically, of how we do some of our decision making on how to spend dollars on projects in Minnesota. In fact, when we've been out to Washington, people have made comments to us that we're one of the very few states, if not the only state, that they feel almost should be a model state for how we approve projects and how we go through things. Where I guess apparently we're a lot different than most states in the union, and so it's a inclusive, I guess you could call it, way of getting different voices and decision makers to have their input on how dollars are spent for our transportation system. And the new gentleman that's helping us, Region 9, his name is Sam Parker. And so we did, we reviewed the classification and ratings for 4 major projects that are happening in our area here. And it's interesting stuff. On that same day, I was privileged to meet with some Cub Scouts who are just getting ready to transfer into being Boy Scouts. So I was up at Rosa Parks, and they're part of their requirement is that they spend some time and interview a public official that's elected in the community, and so that was kind of nice to do that.
Weeblos?
You know, I was a Cub Scout for 2 years of my life, and so I didn't really.
Okay.
I didn't get into it as much as some people, but I didn't have a father, so that's part of the reason.
Okay.
regional transit meeting in St. Peter, and we had a good turnout there. I'd say we probably had, oh, I don't know, probably close to 20 people there. You know, and some people that we thought would be there weren't there. I know Bob had some important work he was doing, and actually others that we thought would be there were not there. But we really had a good meeting, and Bob's helping to arrange for another meeting so that the 3 county boards can get together and kind of back up a little bit, get some more review, get some information, see where we really want to go with this whole thing. So hopefully Bob's getting that arranged, I think.
Yeah, just an update, after I sent out that note about the 16th, it turns out that date doesn't work for LeSueur County, so we're still looking for
Oh, okay.
time when it will work for everyone.
That was
Cancel
a Tuesday, wasn't it?
It is,
Cancel that one?
yes.
Okay. Did they look at the 17th or not, the next day?
You know, the Nicollet County administrator is organizing this, so
Okay.
we'll get more information out when
Sure.
it's
A
available.
gold star to the staff person that gets 15 commissioners, 3 administrators, and staff together.
No kidding.
Well, yeah, that's true,
That's
that's
a
true.
tough
I think
tough
even if
task.
you could get three or four commissioners, it would be ideal, but, and so then, and that was over in St. Peter at their community center. They have quite a community center over there, if anybody's ever looking for a meeting place. And then we've got, our Independent School District 77 Community Service Advisory Council that I've been on, and had a very good meeting there. A person that was outgoing, they've been there for, I think, 16 years or more, helping to organize a lot of their activities. And then also, we got a small mini tour of the building. There's some changes going on over there. They've been, you know, it started there, basically early childhood program, and it's branched off to many different areas around our community now. And so, early childhood basically is gonna be leaving Lincoln Community Center. For me, it was a sad day because I had all my kids go there and I'd walk them down and, you know, but there'll be services available over in West Mankato at Bridges. It's in, I think, a Catholic church building.
The old school.
The old school?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not too far. And then, on Saturday, the 30th, I did go down and participate in the Old Town Master Planning meeting. Did you hear about that? It was in the paper. They had a meeting on Friday night, they had a
I just
meeting
figured you were there.
Saturday morning.
For some reason, I just figured you would show up there.
Really? Well, there was quite a group and
Yeah.
a lot of ideas, and it was just a brainstorming session. You know what I mean? It was just a time for people to kind of sit together at tables and just brainstorm, what would you like to see Old Town look like? And so it was interesting to hear, all the way to a campground, because if the old Coughlin quarry there is being offered up also, possibly, 50 acres of land, that's quite large. That would be about 25 city blocks.
I thought it was 86 acres.
Well, I think buildable maybe, I don't know, I just know. And so you're probably right, it probably is 86 altogether.
According to the Free Press.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, putting a campground at the end of that thing was one of the ideas that came up even. You know, having a campground that close to Mankato would be kind of interesting. And then slowing the traffic down a little bit, making it more pedestrian friendly, that was a primary thing for down there. And then one last thing here, let's see, on Monday last night, I attended, we're rejuvenating the Optimist Club here in Mankato. It's the Minnesota Valley Optimist Club. And they do outreach for children, and so we met, we're a youth, we met at the Reach last night. And are you familiar with that organization, everyone? It's for homeless and at-risk youth in our community, ages approximately 15 to 25. And they have 80 open cases that are new. So there's a lot of at-risk people in our community right now.
So a lot of them are in the same with the Partners for Affordable Housing, and there are a lot of them that are, we get them from the school district. I mean, the school district knows
I
some of the
bet.
people are, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you folks turn away, I don't know how many a month, it's a couple dozen
Oh, yeah, they
at least.
turn up to 50 of them.
Yeah. So I think this community needs to eventually, hopefully, look at some sort of another shelter that we need in town. And some services maybe somehow, because we really are, we're a hub for a lot of people from the rural areas then end up here in Mankato, and they need help, so. And I believe that ends my report. Thanks a lot.
All right,
Mr.
thank
Chair.
you, Drew. Commissioner Purvis.
Yeah, I just had a couple of things. I too spent some time in the sun, so, on the 20th, I attended the systems committee for the transit system in St. Peter. And we're getting to the point where we're talking about, okay, what's every county need, what's every county want, you know, what are some of the routes and stuff like that. Looking at hiring a coordinator to work through this process. I've volunteered to be on the committee to interview that person to see if we can find somebody that will do that job. So that's moving forward. We had representatives from all the counties, and even at that meeting, we said the counties need to get together and talk about this. So that's moving forward. Yesterday, I met with Senator Ron Latz up in St. Paul. I've talked in the past about the work group on courtroom security that I've been attending for the last year, and the Chief Justice and I, and along with several other representatives from the work group, met with Senator Latz to ask him for his support on this proposal. We're proposing that that they allot $20 million to be used for grants for counties that want to apply for the grants to update their courtroom security. So that's moving along. The governor's already been briefed on it, and it everybody believes in the program, but nobody's offered any money yet, so.
Fancy that.
That's my report.
Thank you, Will. I have several things to add that haven't been mentioned yet. First of all, I want to thank everyone that helped me get out of jail that Tuesday after the board meeting. That Wednesday, I went up to the MDA lockup, I raised several $100s, and was able to get in and out of jail right away. So
Some of
thank
us
you for all your
really
support.
hesitated.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Then, as Mark mentioned, we were up to Micah. A lot of things going on at Micah. Had our annual meeting. Good turnout. The speaker did a good job just talking about the things going on at the state. Then we had the RCEF social event. South Central Workforce, we talked a lot about the joint powers agreement that we got coming up later on the agenda today. So we'll be working through that. Then after that we had the MVAC meeting, and things are moving along pretty well there. Amanda's been there for long enough to get a review, and she's doing really well. Everybody seems to be happy with her performance. We're talking a little bit about making that board a little smaller. Right now it's able to have 2 commissioners from each of the 9 counties, and then all of the other representatives, so it's an awfully large board. So we're talking right now about making it a 27 or 28 member board. So that's kind of one of the things we're discussing right now. We'll probably make a decision on that in the next meeting or 2. So then I managed to get to our diversity circle that we've been having those meetings monthly. I made about half of it. Still a really good turnout, getting a good response from the community, and the staff's doing a great job presenting. Yep, you were avoidably
sun,
attained. And then last Thursday I had a relatively busy day. I had EMS board meeting and an emergency communication board meeting. The grants for the emergency communication boarding are pretty well done. We got some new ones coming down, but they're just kind of keeping us informed. Things are working pretty well. We had a lot of questions. We had a lot of sheriffs there that day, so the county boards had a lot of questions about how this new system is working with the 800 megahertz, and the response was, better than the old system. Still doesn't cover everything, and so we have a lot of talk about these repeaters and funding some of them to get inside of some of these schools and hospitals, and we just did one for the hospital here in Mankato. So, but all in all, the program seems to be working pretty good.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I suppose right now, if it's not an emergency, they end up using their phones, don't they, for things?
Oh, I guess that question getting asked, but I would imagine, yeah.
I think.
If
I don't
it's
know.
not an emergency, but cell phones are still used a lot.
Yeah.
So, and EMS, Mark has been doing a great job with EMS. He just had his review. We think he's doing a good job. And that day he actually brought in Jack Considine and Clark Johnson came to our meeting. And we kind of just gave him a little showing of what EMS does and the importance of it, so they're familiar with that when they're talking about that stuff at the Capitol. Kathy Sharon and Senator Rosen will both be coming to visit with Mark in his office in the next couple weeks. And Tony wasn't able to come, but he's been a big supporter of EMS and does a great job for us. So he's always available for us. And then I had there was an extension, Bev Durgan, the Dean of the University of Minnesota, was down to Pub 500. And she gave a little presentation and talked about her support of the extension program here we have in Blue Earth County, and
Wow.
was had a good turnout. There's probably 20, 30 people there. Had a nice visit with several people from the community and several staff from the University of Minnesota, so it was nice to meet her and visit with her for a little while. It was a good program. So that brings me up to today, and before we start with our administrative services, I would just like to welcome Nancy from the Free Press, if she's still over there. Welcome, Nancy. We look forward to working with you, and you certainly can call any one of us commissioners if you have any questions with anything. So with that, we'll get started with administrative services.
Mr. Chair, first item is the county board minutes from January 19th.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next are the bills for the 2 weeks indicated.
I'll move the bills.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Discussion. Go ahead, Drew.
Okay, this would just be in the first week.
Okay.
It's the Alpha Wireless, it's a site grounds improvement for $40,000. And I'm assuming I kinda know what it might be, but I just wanted to find out.
It's part of the installation of the new tower for our
Okay.
emergency communications
Okay, that's that one.
in North Mankio,
Yeah.
yes. Yep.
Engineering Design Initiative Incorporated, building improvements for $20,000.
That's part of a boiler replacement project in the government center. You may
Over
recall
here.
that we replaced the boiler here in this
Yes.
building, but now we need to do that in the government center as well.
Okay, so this isn't really installation, this is just simply the design of, or do you think it?
I'd have to review more of the bill to know for sure what this particular bill is for, but it's
Oh.
part of that larger replacement project.
And then the INS Group contracted services for $41,000.
Those are all ditch projects, so there were 9 different ditches that made up that total.
Okay. And then Robert Carlstrom Company, building improvements for $343,000.
That's part of the Ponderosa landfill building that's
Yeah.
under construction.
Makes sense? Thank you.
Kevin Metler, I know that he's now a state employee. I see we got other fees for $1,000.
Those are part of the truancy intervention program incentives, so he's participating in that program.
All right, and Drew got the R.W. Carlstrom. I guess I was wondering about the City of Lake Crystal Utilities has got electric and water and sewer. Very small amount, but I was just wondering what's the explanation behind that?
I would assume it's our county highway shop.
Oh, sure. Okay, that's all I got.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Human Resources.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 3 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. We have 3 positions that have been filled now, one being a custody officer, also a medium equipment operator in the Public Works Department, and then a financial assistance specialist in the Human Services Department. We also, I guess the 4th one was the employment of a clerical specialist in the Veteran Services Department. We also had 3 promotions, one being a custody officer to a patrol officer. We also had a promotion from a financial assistance specialist to a social worker, and then also a clerical specialist to a civil process specialist in the Sheriff's Department. All of those then have led to the initiation of recruitment to refill those positions. And lastly, we had a lateral transfer of a social worker within the Human Services Department part of a new position that was authorized by the board for 2016, and so we'll be recruiting to backfill that lateral transfer. Any questions from the board on those items?
Nope, we'll move on.
Yep.
All right.
South Central Workforce,
Should
Joint
we-
Powers Board.
Should we go on to the county attorney's office update?
Oh, yeah, I guess we should, yes, 9:20. Pat?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I have provided each of you with a brief year-end report, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Essentially, if you have any questions on, oh, never mind. I want to make sure that you had one, Will. Essentially, from an overall standpoint, the case numbers in the office are up in all categories except termination of parental rights were down slightly. The civil files were down, but that is an accounting adjustment. I count cases differently than were counted in years past. And then the actual truancy filings were down a little bit, and I'm hopeful that that has a little bit of an impact based upon the truancy intervention program that was started in the past year. You'll see that the truancy number's down, as I said, but we had met with and invited at least 80 students and their parents and or guardians to attend meetings and talk about truancy, and that's just in 2015. In the last month, I know that we've talked to quite a few more because this is the time of year that many students are getting towards that cap of where they could be filed truant with the court. So we're working in those areas. We're working in other various areas. There's been other things that we've been working on that aren't specifically mentioned in the report and relating to some of the child protection issues, but you'll see that with our numbers being up, I think that that goes without saying that Human Services and the Sheriff's Office numbers are up as well. So, and I think that many of those numbers will continue to grow as the Mankato area and Worth County continues to grow. You will notice that just, I provided you with the vast majority of this information on a monthly basis, but there's a couple of different categories in some of these areas that I'll be providing information on. I'll be giving you the juvenile diversion numbers now as well, because we're trying again to divert more cases away from the court process into the diversion process. So with that said, I'll just turn things over to see if you have any questions, if there's anything I can answer for you.
Any questions for Pat? Drew, go ahead.
I was just curious on that juvenile felony case filings. You know, it showed 14, this possible weapon on school property, like, it looks like basically almost 0. And the same thing for 13, almost the same thing for 12, 11, and then back in 10, 9, 8, 7, it's way back up there. And then 15, of course, there was one, but I'm just curious, is that just because of...
I think it's just a trend. Most of the students, obviously, a few years ago, there was more emphasis put on and more in the media and more things that were emphasized about, you know, weapons on school property. But that's just a category that I personally and professionally want to keep track of to make sure, because that again goes a little bit towards the prioritization of prosecution of anything that occurs on school property.
Yeah. I know that, I won't mention where it was, but that one case has been in the news for over a year, you know, where somebody inadvertently left something in their purse in a locker.
Right.
You know, was working
That's-
on the farm apparently and forgot it in the locker, and then I mean, I'm sure we use, our school district, we try the best we can to use good judgment, whether it's really a weapon or if somebody forgot to keep it in the car.
There's competing things there. There's the school district's policy and how they choose to enforce it, but then there's the statutory requirements of getting somebody into court. So you need to look at it from both sides. But fortunately, we haven't had that issue recently.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause our school district, isn't that zero tolerancy?
Most
of
school districts are zero
Yeah.
tolerance.
Yeah, most of them are. And what's considered a weapon and what isn't? I suppose a certain size knife, maybe? I don't know.
It
I
all
don't know.
depends on the policy.
Okay.
Any other questions for Pat? Okay, thank you, Pat.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a
If you've
lot.
had
Thank
an
you very
opportunity.
much.
If you had an
Very
opportunity to read
informative,
it,
thank you.
You bet.
Yeah.
Questions after you read it, let me know.
My midnight
Thanks.
reading there, Pat.
Yeah.
My midnight reading.
I memorized the stats, what are you talking?
Don't listen
All right,
to
we got
those guys,
9:25, we'll move into
Oh.
drainage.
All right.
Looks like
Hey,
Casey's
Casey.
here.
Good morning.
Hi.
Morning,
Hi, Casey.
Looks like we got a couple hearings to set, I understand.
Yes, we do. We have received a petition for County Ditch 28 for the removal of lands. So we are requesting a hearing occur at 10 a.m. During the March 22nd Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners meeting.
Okay, do I have a
Move
motion
to
to
approve.
accept?
Second.
Got a first, I got a second, any discussion?
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
So ditch 28, if my memory serves me correctly, didn't we just do an improvement, or we're working on an improvement out there last year?
Yes,
Yes.
And that's coming along? I mean,
Yeah, we just awarded the.
we just
Bid.
awarded the bid.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Just was curious, I wanted to clarify.
Mhm.
Any other questions? All right, we'll vote on this date. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, the next item is we also received a petition, and this is a petition for improvement on Judicial Ditch 34. At this time, we are requesting the engineer Chuck Brandel of INS Group be appointed to make an improvement report. And we're also requesting that a redetermination of benefits be ordered at the same time.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Second.
First and a second. Discussion. Questions?
That sounds like it hasn't been done since 1919.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So, that's quite a while.
Yep.
I mean,
They're
We're
we're
outdated.
coming up on 100 years here in about, what,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years? So,
Good to get them done.
and it sounds like the ditch 9 next door was just completed, or they're just working on that one
That is scheduled to be done, so they'll do that
together, maybe?
simultaneously, yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Casey.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
day.
much.
Thank you.
All right, we got a few minutes. I think we'll go back up and do the South Central Workforce Joint Powers Agreement.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, excuse me, item number 4 in your packet is the information about this joint powers agreement. This is a joint powers agreement that the county has been involved with for many years, and it is being revised based on the new Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act legislation. And so we're bringing it here for your consideration today.
Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Discussion? Drew?
Is it just, mostly we're just keeping in par with what we need to do in order to enact what the federal government wants as far as, isn't that pretty much what we're doing? I just was, some clarification.
That would be my understanding.
Yeah, a lot of it was just word changes. Pat was kind enough to review it for me after I got it from Diane, and
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Right.
Anything significant? Nothing really significant?
No, it was just some minor changes with the,
Oh.
to coincide with the new federal law. Any other
Yes.
questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 5 in your packet is a ratification of a software contract for the Aumentum tax system. We have used this system since 2008. It is a system that is allowing us to do our tax collections, both bill, collect, and distribute property tax for the county. This is a 5-year agreement. Michael Stahlberger has been involved in some of the contract negotiations for this particular software product and is recommending the board's consideration of this contract. It does provide in the agreement for a maximum of 3% increases over annual increases during that 5-year period. And so we bring it here for your consideration today.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Discussion?
What question?
Hmm?
Looking at the details and that in this contract, it's $459,000, is that it, right? Or no, 459, what is it, dollars. And then it goes resulting in county costs of $22,878. through the master agreement, then later on it goes on, additional total of 50,000 annual cost for consultation and training services. Then later on it goes on that there's a $9,000, and I'm just wondering, what will be what do you think estimates will be then for our total?
I believe our total cost will be right around $33,000.
33.
So we have the $23,000, which is the annual rate, and then we buy some additional services for that $9,500 figure. So when you combine those two, our cost is about $33,000.
And is that for the 5 years? or-
Well, that would be an annual cost.
Annual cost.
So those numbers could go up by that 3% maximum.
Call that annual cost or annual dues, or?
Well, it's the annual software maintenance is how I would describe
It
it.
says annual dues are outside the cost of the master agreement.
Right, we pay some dues to MCCC. And so part of that cost, that $50,000 cost, is covered by those dues. So we're in a consortium with a number of counties that, through those dues, are paying some of this cost as well.
Okay.
And I'm sure that that's budgeted every year, but it's 30-some thousand then
All right,
per year, so 160,000 or something in 5 years.
approximately, and so yes, we do have this budgeted in the IT department budget.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay, did we
Go ahead,
move-
Mark.
Did we, no, did we move it
Yeah, we
already?
got 'em first and a
we moved it,
second.
right?
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's just finish up our admin quick with the last one, Bob.
Item number 6 is a request from the finance department to pass a resolution dealing with new procurement standards that have been passed by the federal government under the Uniform Administrative Requirements. This is a requirement that we learned of in late December that applies to fiscal year 2015. And since we received a notice of this so late in the process, there was a provision that allows counties to adopt a 2-year window of delay of implementation. And so we're requesting the board pass a resolution providing that kind of opportunity for us to update our records to fit this new requirement.
I'll
Also
move the.
Okay, got a first and a second. Any discussion? Questions, comments?
Makes sense. I mean, so this is a proposal to actually begin that process and make those changes.
Right. We've been in contact with the Office of the State Auditor, and they're still trying to sort it all out. So, you know, the bottom line is we don't have enough information right now to revise our procurement policies to fit this new law because it's so new. So this gives us some time to get that sorted
Okay.
out.
All right.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Al. Ryan, welcome.
Morning.
Morning, Al, Ryan?
Beautiful spring day.
Yeah, for a little
So
while.
far,
Well,
it's pretty nice out
yeah,
there,
so
actually.
far,
It's
yeah,
beautiful
we-
morning.
Can we start calling you short timer or?
Yeah, I've been called worse, that would be fun. One of my
good.
favorite
Yeah, Ryan.
remarks was from my engineer neighbor to the east. And I sent out an email that I've been a public servant for 43 years and 27 years in Blue Earth County, and I'm 68 years old and I'm gonna retire. He emails back with one word, quitter.
Oh, my gosh.
Which I actually felt good about that. He felt comfortable enough with me to insult me knowing I didn't see it as a joke.
It was a joke. In writing, no less.
Pardon?
In writing, no less.
Yeah, in writing.
Question I have here is it really true that there are no action items
Yes.
on this list?
Unless you choose to create some, yes.
That's not very often.
Oh.
No, it isn't. Although it happens at this time of the year as
Yeah.
we're preparing our pipeline for next season's construction. But a number of information items I'd like to share with you.
He'll make up for it next month.
Yes. The Rapidan Dam, and Mr. Campbell raised some questions about it a little earlier. Where is that at? We've been working with FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and Eagle Creek Renewable Energy, the vendor at the dam. Their engineering firm, Kleinschmidt Engineering, and ourselves to work through a number of items that are required for the FERC energy generation permit, and they're all safety related, so they really have more than just the permit benefit. And they relate to the funds that we have available from $2.4 million in state bonding from a couple years ago, how best to invest that. So the issues that these studies have raised, and Will was at some of the meetings. It's a very thorough process. One is the IDF spillway capacity. That's the inflow design flood. Does the spillway have enough capacity for the inflow design flood, which is 42,800 CFS at the dam, which is about the 65 flood, about a 500-year event, so it's a really big flood. Initially, these studies said the spillway does not have enough capacity. The proposal was to remove the deck, remove every other buttress, put in all new gates. This would have cost millions of dollars. So I met at the dam with their engineering company and pointed out that you could get additional capacity by removing the bottom of some of the beams that aren't needed anymore and perhaps making some more minor modifications. It turns out after a series of studies that all you need to do to get enough capacity is move these big pulleys back a couple feet. That allows the gates to rise fully to the top, so that when the flood is going through it, it doesn't hit the bottom of the gate.
Oh.
So rather than millions of dollars, it's going to be on the order of 100,000, something like that or less. So I believe that's moving along in a very positive way. The next item was the stability of the dam. And so basically they take the dam and through calculations divide it into slices, looking up and downstream, and look at each slice. Does it have enough mass and friction so that it won't slide downstream? And does it have enough base so that it won't tip over? And here again, initially, they were proposing that the entire interior of the dam be filled with concrete. That would have cost a lot of money. But meeting with them, I pointed out that there was a time when about a third of the base had eroded away. The reservoir was full. It didn't slide. It didn't tip. There must be a factor of safety there. So after some pretty detailed studies, they found that there are 4 tunnels under the dam, about 5 foot by 12 foot, something of that order. If you fill the first half of the tunnel with concrete, that would provide enough mass on that end of the teeter-totter, so it won't tip. There's also an old iron gate at the head end of those tunnels. Filling the tunnel with concrete would relieve yourself of the worry that eventually that iron gate would rust through and release the mud. So there again, a very economical solution to it. The apron repair, initially the concern was the apron does not have the energy dissipators like a modern Corps of Engineers design dam would have. You need to do that. That would cost a lot of money. We made the argument that there's concrete aprons below the dam. We can observe it, monitor it, repair if needed. And so what we're looking at now is there are 2 cavities in this concrete apron about 100 foot downstream. We would fill those cavities with rock and put a concrete plug patch on top of it with some vent holes to relieve the pressure underneath it, and that should take care of it.
Wow. Amazing.
So hopefully we have to continue working. We need to get FERC approval of these repairs, get a engineering design done, although their studies take you a long ways towards having a design. Advertise, take bids, get the job done. So we're still months away from that, unfortunately. The good part is that this slow, deliberate process has resulted in a much better project out there and a more appropriate project. One other item that's come up fairly recently is that there's a state law that when you have a publicly owned facility that's leased by a private party for profit-making purposes, that private party has to pay property taxes on it. So that's been applied to some farmland that we own and lease to people. Access right away in the south side of 90, for instance. We rent the adjacent farmers. That's publicly owned property that's leased to a private party for farming purposes. They're going to have to pay property tax. In the case of the dam, it's a publicly owned facility leased to a private party for business purposes. That party's going to have to pay property taxes. That's on the order of $4,000 per year, very rough estimate from land records. However, when you look at the lease agreement, and it was in the original lease agreement from, the early '80s, mid-'80s, that lease agreement says that if the vendor is taxed, they deduct that from the lease payment to the county. So, they will be sending us tax money, they will be withholding that amount of money from our lease payment. The net result to Eagle Creek is zero. The net result to the dam, however, is that the lease payments would have been dedicated to repair and maintenance of the dam, that $4,000. Now it's gonna go into the general fund. That gets split between, according to Lisa Belinsky, between the county, the school district, and so on. So it's a loss of about $4,000 to money that would be available otherwise to maintain the dam. I don't know if there's any solution to that. I
Not
talked to
if
Mark
it's-
Lindell a bit about it, and perhaps there isn't. It's just the way it is.
Mhm.
A quick question
Yeah.
about that too, Al. Some of that 2.4 million was, I thought, dedicated to doing some, preservation to the building,
Yeah.
the generation room itself. Not just the dam, but to the generation room and to the windows that have been, cemented in or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that still part of the plan?
When you go back through the legislation and the program, this bonding is in, it's in the DNR Dam Safety Program. I think the DNR will be open to the improvements that I've described here, which are slightly different than our original idea. But they are not open to using it for aesthetic purposes. They want it used only for safety purposes, dam safety purposes. So probably not windows, but I think the rest of these items would be okay.
I thought that the money was given to us on the premise of the list that we had given them though, which was, that was included in the list, so I don't know how that could not be part of it. I don't understand. Because the money was given to us with the intent to do that work. from the
Because
legislature.
the money goes through the dam safety program. The legislation has no reference to the
The plan that was
request
handed
that
to
we
us.
made, no.
Oh.
So we need to get FERC approval of these items. We need to enter into a bonding agreement with the DNR, get our plans and specs ready, advertise and implement it.
What about when you're looking downstream on the left side where it's deteriorating on the walls and things like that? Is that also a structural concern or not?
Yes, I believe it is. And that was one of the items in our original proposal. And I think the DNR will see that as a dam safety proposal. So hopefully, we'll take care of these three items. There'll be sufficient funds left over to take care of that wall on the left side, left downstream side.
And so then if there's money left over from the money they gave us, would it go towards any internal building?
It's gonna have to relate to dam safety.
100% regardless.
Yep.
Well,
I should mention too that with the IDF spillway capacity, I mentioned moving the pulleys back. With that, you don't need timber gates anymore on the far end, which are in poor condition.
Yeah.
So those would be taken out and a concrete wall would be placed
it's
there.
just be permanent.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep,
That would be a big improvement.
it will be.
Yeah.
That,
that'd be nice.
that was.
Yep.
But I'm just disappointed, I wanna share, I'm disappointed in the fact that
Yeah,
they were there for a tour, the whole project was described to them.
Yep.
I know there's been changes, but I thought that that was also part of
Yep.
the approval process, was to let them know we needed this, generation house, restoration. And I don't know, I don't know if we knew it was gonna have to go through a dam safety program, which obviously would only do dam safety, so I mean, it just kinda doesn't, for some reason, doesn't smell right to me, I'm just telling you. So.
well, it's a case of, we asked for these items,
Mm-hmm.
it carried through the legislature and something slightly different came out than what we had asked for.
Making.
So they directed it differently then?
Yes, so when it went to the legislature, this bonding request
Mhm.
was put in an existing state program, the DNR Dam Safety Program, which has its own set of rules.
So we knew that going in?
I guess I'm not surprised that it turned out that way, and I guess I find it difficult to object to that. Actually, if the DNR supports this and works with this, we're
Right.
getting the important items here. We would still have the option we being the county have the option of using local money to take out some of those concrete blocks and put in windows.
Yeah, I just thought there was gonna be some restoration.
Yeah.
The
Well, I'm disappointed
structure.
too. I was looking forward to that actually.
Yeah,
Making it more resemble the historic face that you see in some of those old photos.
yeah, and so they handed it over to this program instead of trusting the county to take care of the project.
I think its chances of getting passed by the legislature were greater having it folded into an existing state program rather than having it to stand there by itself.
Okay, so they're holding the funds then?
Yes.
That program has the 2.4 million and they've had it now for,
Yeah.
like, going on 2 years?
Yeah, it's in the dam safety program and it's held aside. It's in a Rapidan Dam pigeonhole.
Okay.
Which is why it's important to get this done, I think,
Yeah.
before the legislature takes it out of that pigeonhole.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
gives
say, it's gonna
somebody else.
disappear.
No, it will, it could, so yeah, you'd wanna
Okay.
get it done
Yeah.
as soon as we can.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So it is a pretty complex situation out there, but it's moving in a positive way, I think. I continue to press them to hurry up, folks. Okay, some other information items. We've been working on the 5-year capital improvement plan update with the transportation sales tax in it, starting in April and then moving forward. I'd like to share that at a workshop with the county board at a future workshop here. We also have something we've talked about in the past, a draft of the Hafner 17 intersection report that we could present at that same workshop. Current construction projects, County 1, Old Trunk Highway 66, from Good Thunder up to County 9. The design is done. It's being carried over to the state today for state approval of the plan. We're buying right away along the project, which is moving along quite well. We focus first on some parcels where there are trees, and they're basically where there's a pipe under the road. They typically have a ravine on both ends where there would be trees. We're acquiring those parcels so that we can have the trees cleared in those areas before the long-eared bat nesting season begins in April. So there will be some activity out there soon. And the County Road 147 bridge, they're out there working. It's going slowly. They've had to construct cofferdams for the abutments, and that's been a challenge for them with the high water and encountering boulders. But they are making progress. They should be driving the piling that supports the abutments soon. Our planning projects, County, here again, County 1, I just went over that, completing design, acquiring right away. And this summer, our plan is to grade and pave that. So that in 17, we're not working out there when MnDOT is working on Highway 22. On County 12, from County 17 to Trunk Highway 83, we're completing the design. The layout for the roundabout at Highway 83 in County 12 has been a MnDOT district. They came back with some comments, revised, taken back over to MnDOT district. Once that's resolved, it'll have to go up to St. Paul to their central office for review and approval. We're buying right away out there. There's 13 parcels. We've had appraisals and review appraisals. The current total appraisal is about $2.5 million for the right-of-way. Land has gone up in value, and there's a lot of speculation taking place out there, so it is a challenge. Okay, back to number 1, south of Good Thunder. We'll be paving that this summer, cold in place recycling and a new pavement, finishing that project off. Right here, Mankato, County 8, County 16, Monks and Stadium. The city is taking the lead, mill overlay, selected curb and gutter replacement, conform to ADA requirements. We're bringing a cooperative agreement with the city of Mankato to perhaps in March to the board.
That'd be excuse me, that'd be something they'd probably start early in the season then?
We would try to miss the Vikings
Yeah.
and MSU seasons.
Okay, so they wanna do it.
Yeah, which is quite a trick, actually.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. And then County 14 is on the 5-year plan for 2017. we're starting design work there, mapping, design. We've got another project that will be on the new revised 5-year plan because of the sales tax money, County Road 109, that we haven't started work on that we need to start. As you know, it's gonna be a real challenge to move that 5-year plan forward because of the size of staff we have, but even more so, our design person, Gene Hafner, has indicated that he will be retiring in November. There's an art and science to designing roads. Science you learn in school, the art you learn by doing it over the years and working in that environment. Egg drain tile, snow drifting, the soils that we encounter. Gene's been really good at it. I'd like to get somebody on board so that that person can mentor with Gene for several months before Gene leaves. So that is an important item to working towards that expanded 5-year plan.
I got a question, Al, about this CASA 14. I'm sorry, my brain isn't wrapping around it. 14, okay, CASA 14 from CASA 4 to Trunk Highway 30.
Yeah.
Can you just explain where that is again, or Ryan, or somebody tell me, because I'm just
Yeah,
kind of...
and that may, we're still looking at the endpoints for that, and the funds that we have available. Going all the way to 30 may be difficult with our funding, so it may be revised to go from 4 to 10, or actually from 10 to 4. You know, the bridge that we looked at our last road tour, the one that had been delayed?
Because of the concrete.
Yeah, west.
It's just
And
west
south of Pemberton?
Buford, southwest
Yeah.
of Buford, kind of?
That's on County 14. So it would be a reach a road north of that bridge.
Be north of that bridge?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yep. It's an old road, barely any shoulders on it.
Yeah, I
The
remember
pavement
that
is
road.
old and cracked, the pipes are rusted and,
A lot of egg transportation out there.
yep.
It's in your district then, Kip, right? Okay, I just was trying to get my head wrapped around where that is. And
Yeah.
North of Minnesota Lake, running north-south on the southeast
Yeah,
corner of the county.
okay.
Okay, we'll have a program of bituminous overlays, not as big as I had hoped, actually. Bridges, an important issue here are these local bridge bonds the state will be considering. And the governor's bonding proposal included $48 million for the Kellogg Avenue Bridge in St. Paul, and $32 million for the 10th Avenue Bridge in Minneapolis, and $0 for local bridges.
Wow.
So, that's a major issue for all of greater Minnesota. And I'm hoping that when the legislature convenes and they do their trading between the metro area and the rural area, that bridge bonding money will come into play again. We have 3 bridges on County 5, 1 on County 52 that we'd like to move forward this year, and then we've got 111 and 2 on 144 will be big box culverts that we'd like to move forward. All requiring these bridge bonds.
You've probably been in the discussions with the MICA organization and trying to get bridge bonding attached to bridges and not just a lump sum, because you have one big bridge in the metro area, it wipes out the whole account, so,
Yep.
you know,
That's
why
Micah's,
they're-
Micah's
That's been
working on it,
conversation
I
even
know.
with AMC
Yeah.
through the
Yep.
transportation is to divide those.
Yeah,
the
metro and rural.
The metro
Mhm.
large bridges from the rest of the state.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Prime
because
example.
That makes
like you
sense,
said, you
doesn't it?
have one that you have a bridge that goes over the Mississippi, it's gonna take all the money.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, and that's what happened with Hennepin
So
last
this,
year.
there may be a positive thing about this in that the governor's request for those 2 bridges is not under the transportation part, it's under local government.
Okay.
So those were split, those 2 big ones were split off. Problem is, the transportation had 0.
Yeah.
Well, and-
We're working the
and-
right direction, we're just not getting any funding
Yeah.
for the, hopefully.
And we can't, and we're having a hard time deciding how to get funding for transportation.
Mhm.
You know, and there, so there's a partisan split right now on how to fund transportation, which really shouldn't be. This should be a nonpartisan issue. But
Yeah.
right now, that's an issue.
Have you heard if they're gonna fund the corridors for commerce again? Vance, do you know?
I mean, everything's up in the air
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Everything, I mean,
they're,
we're just
talking.
starting, you know,
We were
so-
hoping with that surplus that they would dump a little extra money into the corridors for commerce and help out
Absolutely.
some of those corridors we have in the state that are important.
You know, we wanna get 14 done, we wanna get 169 built up, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of things that we need to get done just for Blue Earth County and Mankato. But, it's a process, and I know right now, I'm sure Al and Ryan, I don't know, Ryan will be going up with Transportation Day at the Capitol. I know we have a transportation, conference coming up here in March. But that's connected right on to our ledge, AMC ledge.
Yep.
But, we have a lot of work to do. You know, we have a lot of educating to do, to let them know what the issues are. And hopefully we have some opener minds than we had last year.
I think there's some room for trading, and the metro area, of course, wants light rail and $137 million for the southwest line. Greater Minnesota needs bridge bonding, local road improvement bonds. I'm hoping that something comes together out of that.
They
Well, I
plan on
think-
funding a lot of their light rail, though, right out of their city, out of the city funds, I think.
Well, Hennepin County and, yeah.
Yeah.
but
Federal-
Metro counties.
Federal, about 50%, and then
Yeah.
the balance, the counties, state.
They'll come up with something, cause they got enough. They just have to, they're gonna hassle over
The routes.
how much they're gonna spend on other stuff, how much they'll put into transportation, what kind of, if they're gonna have tax cuts kind of thing, they'll have a whole, they'll come up with something, cause they all gotta come home with something. Pretty elementary with a 2-year deal, you know?
That's the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll come, you know, not everybody will just hope, probably partially happy, but,
That's the end of my list, unless you have any questions or
All right.
additional items.
Any other questions for Al? Any other comments? All right, thank you, Al.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Ryan.
Al.
Thanks a
Thank you.
lot.
thanks, Ryan.
Go fire up your plows.
Yeah. And they're probably idling right now, maybe, no?
According-
Minnesota Lake and heading north.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of new to me, you know, hearing about how the dam money is gonna be utilized, because, you know, it's just, I didn't know that. I thought that the whole project was approved and as it was presented, and, I didn't realize that they decided to stick it into that fund. I thought we were actually having the money in our general fund waiting to be used.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I guess I gotta start asking more questions. Bob?
That'd be great.
There's something, I didn't know that either. that-
Yeah, I know, it's
Yeah.
kinda disappointing to me, because if we're actually, he actually looked like he's got money saving, we probably won't even need all the money,
Yeah,
so.
at least it's going towards the dam at this
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, the
that's-
bottom line is you want safety,
unfortunately,
that's the first
yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought the project got sold on the prospect that there would be some improvements done to
Oh.
the dam itself, as far as like those windows have just been concreted over to save money, so there's no maintenance, you know what I mean, and that sort of thing, and, you know, I know it doesn't create any structural changes in the dam, but it's a part of our history, part of our region, and probably the largest dam in Minnesota, isn't it?
It's a sister dam.
Can I
Tallest by,
grab a couple minutes at the end?
Sure,
Over by
Are you ready?
I don't know, it depends what that is, I don't know.
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to tell you, I mean, I'm wearing this red dress. And it's not because I like red dresses. The red dress indicates the Go Red for Women, which is a American Heart Association initiative, and it's National Heart Association, or Heart Health Month in
Okay.
February. On Friday is the Go Red for Women, and that, you know, so everybody's asked to wear red. And the reasoning being is for it's so strong for me is coming up on Sunday is my wife's 2nd anniversary of her heart attack where she had a cardiac arrest. And so she is very strong in Go Red for Women. She asked me if I'd wear the red dress. I says, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well, the pin." I says, "Okay, I'll wear that."
I think he's trying to wear the red dress.
But it's very important for people to understand that heart disease is the #1 killer of women. You combine all cancer together, and heart disease is still more than all the different cancers together, So it's very important that people understand, how important it is to, donate towards, you know, the heart disease issues, and also people to understand, the proper health, you know, eating right, exercising right. Trust me, in the 2 years after my wife's heart attack, we eat completely differently at our house than we did before. So that's what I wanted to let you know.
Well,
And
thank you.
you'll probably see me wearing the red dress all month long here. So
No, that's good, thanks, Vance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, thank you for
good.
doing that.
And we're happy,
Thank you.
Good information.
turnout and the health of your wife
You
and your
bet.
family. It's very, very important.
Alrighty, anything else for the good of the cause? Seeing none.
Let's see, this is the second, right?
Yeah.
And, I guess we'll have
February
one more
2nd.
meeting before we go out.
to the
The
ledge,
three of us are going out, Will?
No, I'm not going.
You're not going?
No.
Oh,
just me and you,
just
babe.
the two of us. Oh, wow.
And who do we got for staff going?
I,
I believe Jess Beyer is
Jesse
planning
Beyer
to do it
planning to
too.
go? Okay.
oh, good,
Oh, okay.
good.
Good. Well, you guys represent us
Is
well.
she,
Okay.
her,
Yeah, we'll be out there.
somebody's taking care of
I'll be leaving the 17th.
her baby and stuff?
Okay.
She's
Couple
got
days
that
early.
worked out.
She'll be returning to work on the 11th.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll make it a lot easier,
Yeah.
cause Jess kinda is our
helps us-
handler
she
when
helps us,
we're
yeah.
out there.
She
She-
directs
You
us where we
guys
gotta
need
go.
some help,
Yeah.
so that's good.
We can understand that. All right.
And she's a mediator between Vance and I too, so.
I would imagine.
We've
else?
been much better.
All right, I need a motion to recess to the eatery tap for lunch, unless it gets snowed out.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.